Okay, so this is the Ames 3000 watt inverter. You see that there's the only AC power is the power coming out of it. We don't have the power coming into it. This has a built-in transfer switch, and it has a built-in battery charger, not being used. So the switches here, these switches right there, are all in the one position. They have not been set. Ames says that two of those need to be in the other position or something. So these have not been set. You'll see the video right now of Nexus telling me no one knows how this inverter works.
And if they ran the inverter that way, then it would be the inverter. I'll have to find that out for you.
Yep, because I want to test that before I sign any paper. And
you want to turn that inverter off on your remote's right down there since you know about it.
do what?
That's your inverter remote. That blue screen there.
Right where I can't get to it. Holy crap, why wouldn't you put it there?
I was going to see if you want to turn it on for me. So we can
I can't even see it. I can't even see it.
You might have to get down on the ground then and crawl and to go look, Kevin.
Yeah, but that's not what I want.
I know, it's a terrible placement.
This is my bad eye. I can't see at this angle. Yeah. But much better to put up here.
I think I'm not sure exactly 100% what happened, but when it was all this was built before they even got the inverter in, so it's almost impossible to get it anywhere else. Because normally it's up by your monitor panel.
I don't know I don't know what I'm doing with this. I don't know. You'll have to teach me how to do it because I don't know anything.
I don't either.
Well, I mean,
We'll have to talk to somebody, Kevin, that
Nobody
does.
here's gonna know.
Well, then
because
I guess
it's a special thing that we don't do.
well,
Nobody knows
it's
anything about it.
terrible
you guys
placement for
ordered
it.
it. You guys gotta tell me how to use it. Maybe we get the book.
Well, yeah, you need to pull the book out on it.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin.
Yep.
Let's next thing. Let's just move along.
They selected it when I said I wanted a 3,000 watt inverter. They decided that that this brand is what we needed. It's a good brand, but none of the features are being used. I have this power. So here's this light right here is on, which says the inverter mode. So it's inverter mode.
The flashlight doesn't help. So
Right.
There you go.
And then that switch here is off because with this switch off, we've had it on, we have had it off. The plug, the remote, which this wire goes to, actually controls this. We just found that out later. All right, so let's go inside. So right now, it's powered into the plug outside, and I turn on this, and you see it's auto, so that means electrical is on. If the check thing was on, it would be trying to go to the gas, right? And you can see that the power is on the microwave, right? So the power is on the microwave. Let me go unplug the power. I'm going to unplug the power. So here's me unplugging the power. No power to the vehicle whatsoever. Okay. So again, the microwave does have power. If I start the microwave, it shuts off. About 2 seconds, the inverter has tripped. The inverter, let's come over here. The inverter is right here. I have to turn the inverter off. I have to turn the inverter back on. Wait for a little, it's got a fault. Okay, now let's go back to the microwave. And then you see the microwave is now blinking because now it's got power again. So we reset the whole thing. The AC all works perfectly. All the AC plugs have AC. Let's look over here. You'll see this is a AC switch here. You can see I turn it on, and this component gets AC right out of this AC plug. So we are getting AC from the inverter. We cannot run a coffee pot, a 700 watt coffee pot, out of our 3000 watt inverter, because it will reset the inverter as well. The refrigerator, when we turn on the refrigerator, hear that clicking? That clicking is the gas. Pretty soon the check will come on because it can't light the gas because I have the propane off. But the gas is not on. I did not turn the gas on, which is depressing that. It's pressed in, so it's supposed to be auto, and it should be sensing the AC. It'll give up in a second and then you check. This is supposed to be plugged into the inverter. It's not even connected. There you go, it gave up. Okay, so that's not converted. The microwave is hooked up to the inverter, but the 3000 watt inverter will not power it. The fridge is not hooked up to the inverter. We went outside, we looked at the plug, and we took a voltage reading. There's no voltage to that, on or off. Doesn't matter. So over here, let's look at this first. I put these wires in here for a amp meter. So I just connected them. I didn't do anything to the coach. I just connected them to some pots. So this converter here, even with the power off, has power, right? So I'm getting AC power into the charger. So this thing is still hot. It is actually charging the battery. So I have the battery power going into the inverter, going into the converter, going back into the battery. So I've got this loop. It takes 1000 amps out of the battery, and because of inefficiency of turning it into AC and back into DC and back into the battery, is probably putting around 650, 700 watts back in. So it's losing 300 watts constantly the whole time. I think this may be set up wrong, so the inverter is tripping continuously. This is so I took this off. This. Can you see this pretty good? Mm-hmm. So this is this wire right here is the there's 3 wires in here. I put a 4th one for that. If I don't know if you can see, but I put you see that farad right around there. This little thing right here. Mm-hmm. That is to take the amps off this. But this is the bundle, I believe, coming off of. Can you read these wires down here?
Yeah, shine the light on it.
It says generator and inverter, right?
Oh, I see what
these
you're saying.
white wires back here.
Yeah, move your hand.
So the generator and inverter come in here. I don't know. I don't know whether they come in this back side or they come in the front side. I don't know. So I believe they come in this side here, but who the heck knows? This, I believe, is the transfer switch. It says automatic transfer relay 5100 series. Right. So I don't know if I can get this open. Nexus lady wanted to see this. I haven't tried to get this open before, so should just pop off. Transfer switch. My humble opinion, this should go right before the inverter, not after the inverter. It seems like it's after the inverter. I think that this transfer switch should be before the inverter. There should be only one set of AC coming out of this into the inverter. The inverter has its own bypass. So if it senses AC, it will just send it on. I talked to Ames today, and it will handle 30 amps through that inverter, through that 3,000 watt inverter, right? It's not a 3,600 watt inverter, it's a 3,000 watt inverter, but it will handle the bypass. So this should be on the front side of the inverter prior to the AC going in the inverter, and then the inverter should go straight to the distribution box over here. So let's take a look at tree. Here we go. So here's to the panel. So I guess this side is going to the panel over here, and this side is going to different stuff and things. That's a technical term, stuff and things. Okay, so this is how it's set up. So if I were to do this, this stuff should be the generator and shore power, and this should go to the panel. I'm sorry, not to the panel, but to the inverter. The inverter should go to the panel. So that's how I would set this up. Instead, the inverter, I have no idea how the inverter gets into the I guess the inverter goes into this circuit breaker box here. Trade me places. Okay, so this guy I have the main. I don't know if that's coming from the transfer box or not. I got the microwave, which is obviously coming in, and the microwave's hooked up, and then I have the inverter. That's what it says. I don't know whether this is correct or not. And I don't know from here what the distribution box, how it's wired. You can see the wires in here. Look back here. The wires back here. The wires over here. Right? And it's a little bit of a mess. And okay, so this is the distribution box. You can see that the converter positive doesn't go to the positive. It's wrapped up into this tire bundle here. Some of these fuses don't go to what they say they go to. This says it's the bedroom lights, and it's got juice on it. But when I pull it out, the bedroom lights are still on. So those are my major problems right there. Those are the symptoms. Those are where I have it. I believe that this whole thing has been set up incorrectly. It's not set up like the manufacturers of the inverter said to set it up when I called them. When I look at this, it's not set up the way that this is supposed to be. This converter, I don't even think is needed. So I need people to understand how this is set up. Set up that the inverter is in an off-grid scenario where it's powering absolutely everything in the coach, all the AC, the circuitry, not the air conditioning. The air conditioning is the only one that's not on the inverter. The inverter will handle it all. We can load share it manually inside the unit. That's why this amp meter is. I was trying to put it on to get the voltage, but so I need that to happen. I think it needs to be rewired. I think things need to be moved around. The inverter needs to be set up correctly. The converter here, I have no idea how it's hooked up. I don't know how the inverter is hooked up into the panels. The transfer switch does not appear to be transferring the right equipment, right? So I don't know. This is going in here. It's going in there. I've got, looks like I got 4 things going to the transfer switch. but I have no idea what they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hot, neutral, generator, hot, neutral. So I guess so this I guess is the generator neutral, and this is the generator hot, and what this says. This has 4 connectors. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 connectors, so I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. So we're going to have to figure that out. So I don't know what this junction box is. So I guess I'm not supposed to have the generator and the inverter on at the same time, so I'm not really sure what's going on in this junction box. I'm not sure what's going on in here. I'm not sure what's going on with this converter, but this is not working. That's it. So this is the front of the distribution box, AC and DC. These are really not. I got the converter here, the water heater, the general roof AC. I got these 2 mains. This is, when you add these up, if you come over here, you add these up, I don't know if you can see this. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starting from the very left position, all the way to the left. The left is not put on here. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I've got a 6. So I really don't know what's going on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, and then nothing over here. So I don't know what that is. And then the other thing is everything else works in the unit. All I did was I put this amp meter in this. That's the only modification I did. It doesn't hurt anything. All I did is put a hole here and put this amp meter in, and you could just plug it. You could plug it up. So this is just basically like a test equipment. Instead of me clamping it on and just reading it, I use this. This is obviously not set up correctly because I'm not getting the right readings here. So I don't know how it's wired in there. So that's what's going on. So those lights right there that are on in the unit, those are the lights to the converter, I believe. Those lights are on, saying that the converter is working.
You mean, yeah, the inverter or converter?
Converter.
Okay.
The converter is working. It's producing DC from the AC that's coming into it. So I mean, it's on at all times. So I don't understand that either. So I think that the converter is working and trying to charge the battery off the inverter. So. Okay, so this is the battery disconnect. It's completely off, and we are unplugged from AC. And the inverter is completely off. Okay?
Yeah, that's not plugged in.
That's not plugged in. The inverter is also off, completely off. If you come over here and you take a look, the light on the panel is still on. With the battery disconnected, the inverter off. So this thing is still drawing power. Even though everything's supposed to be shut down, nothing's working.